Congressional Seafood Test Kitchen. Today, with Amos LaClair, we will be demonstrating the different ways to shuck an oyster. Today's oyster is going to be a Chincoteague salt oyster, which are raised in Virginia off Chincoteague Island. Amos, if you can grab an oyster here. The first way that we're going to do it, there's two ways to shuck an oyster. One is through the hinge or the back of the oyster, and the other is through the lip or the bill of the oyster. Amos, who's a seasoned oyster shucker, prefers to go through the front, through the bill. If you want to talk about what you're doing there.
So I'm going through the bill of the oyster. I'm trying to find the void between the top shell and the bottom shell. Once I find that void, I'm just going to slide my knife in ever so softly so I don't tear the meat up inside there. Prop it up just a little bit so I can look in there, and then I'm going to go under the oyster and nick the bottom abductor muscle in the cup shell. And after I do that, I flip the whole thing upside down. Cup shell goes in the back in the bay for recycling, and the other shell, oyster meat, is on the half shell. I will slip my knife back under the other side of the meat, hit that abductor muscle. Now that meat is ready for consumption. The next way I'm going to shuck is through the hinge. The hinge is at the back.
What are some of the problems with hinge shucking?
Some of the problems that we have with hinge shucking is the farmed oysters are very brittle. So a lot of people try to shuck oysters by power, and it's all about technique. So as long as I don't try to go too hard or too powerful in here through the hinge, it shouldn't break. But a lot of people do try to just pry the oyster open instead of gently wiggling your knife to get it in there. Now that I'm in the back, I'm going to try to just slide my knife back around to the front so I don't tear the meat up of the oyster. And with this one, I'm just going to run it along the top shell, and that's going to hit that muscle off there. And then you have the meat in the cup shell. Slip your knife back under the oyster meat, hit the bottom, and now that one is loose and ready for consumption.
So there's two ways to present a oyster on the half shell. One way is in the cup.
In the cup shell or the Rockefeller shell. The other is on the half shell or the top shell. Personal preference. Some people like it in the cup shell so they can have the liqueur. Some people like it on the half shell so they can have the nice meat and they don't have to get their lips anywhere around that. It's all about personal preference. But the main thing is to shuck the oyster the proper way so you have less shell particles in your meat, and your yield, you have a good yield recovery. So.